Welcome to the channel, guys. We are back again, and today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 best blind buys, so stay tuned for that. And if you like the content, hit that like and subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. So I always like to preface this type of content with the fact that you probably shouldn't blind buy unless you're willing to lose some money. Probably could do at least a top 5 on worst blind buys. That certainly didn't work for me. But I have made quite a few successful blind buys where I did really enjoy the fragrances, so I'm going to talk about those right now. Dark Rebel. Now, this is actually a really good fragrance. I almost knocked out one of the other fragrances for this one because it could certainly be on the list. This is a really good sort of boozy leather fragrance. Performance is not that great, but it's also very inexpensive. I think you can get this for around $20, $25, which I think, you know, for a 4-hour fragrance that smells really fantastic, is a really good deal. So this is one you should check out if you like those types of fragrances, those sort of leathery, boozy, bad boy kind of fragrances. And it's great for the fall winter. In fact, I think a lot of these fragrances are good for the fall and winter, which is also good timing for this list. I wanted to rank these at first, but then I decided I'm not really going to do that. I'm going to do sort of the designer ones first and then the niche ones. And so we're going to start with this first one. This is Insurrection 2, or Leave. I think it's Insurrection 2 Wild. Now, this one is often talked about as a clone of Pure Havane. And there is certainly similarities there. I would say that this is, if you want a one-to-one clone, this is probably not what you're looking for. It certainly has, you know, tobacco, a beautiful pipe tobacco, and a nice cherry note. The honey is not really quite as present as it is in, say, either Pure Havane or Naxos. And so I think this one is maybe like 80 to 85% similar. There's no question about the inspiration for this fragrance, but it's certainly not a one-to-one clone. Also very inexpensive. It does perform quite well. You can get this one for, I think, again, this is like a $20 fragrance. And honestly, for that price point, I also think this has really nice presentation. I love how this is kind of curved on the side, has a nice plaque on it. It actually looks like a very quality bottle. And the juice inside, honestly, it's gotten better with time, and this is a really good fall winter fragrance. And this is one I'm going to be reaching for sure, because it is just really beautiful fragrance, very enjoyable. If you like tobacco, if you like a little bit of sweetness with your tobacco, this is one to check out. Now, the next one is another designer, and that is Encre Noire Sport. Now, I actually kind of just bought this one by accident. Or, well, not by accident. It was more chance that I picked to get this one first. So I had heard a lot about the Encre Noire line. A lot of people talk about this as being a really fantastic line of fragrances for vetiver fragrances. And I think it was spring or summer, and so I decided to get the Sport at the time. This is another great one. I think I paid about $25 for. And this is a really good vetiver scent. The quality is really high for what you're paying. So it has this nice sort of dark, a little bit inky kind of a vibe. And with a lot of vetiver fragrances, I find there's sort of this marshy aspect to the sort of grassiness of the vetiver that this certainly has. And deeper in the dry down, I do get a bit of a soapiness, which is nice because it is sport. So you're either wearing it when you're doing sport or you're wearing it in the summer. And when you get that soapiness later in the dry down, it works really well because it's going to be hot out and it keeps you smelling clean. So I really do enjoy this one, and I think it's worth checking out. For the price point, it's probably okay to blind buy because a sample is going to cost almost as much as the bottle. But anyways, Encre Noire Sport, also my favorite from the Encre Noire line. Last of the designer fragrances is none other than the ever so famous Spicebomb Extreme. Now, I had smelled the original, so I suppose in that respect, it's not a whole blind buy, but it is still kind of a blind buy because I didn't. Extreme can often be, you know, quite a bit different, and I think it is in many respects different. It certainly has a more extreme attitude about it, but intense versions, extreme versions, they're often very different. Like if you look at the one EDP and then the one intense EDP, they're very different fragrances. So variation is there. I smelled the original. I did like it, but I didn't know if I would really like this one. And actually, when I first bought it, I had a bit of regret because I didn't really like it. But I tried it out about 3 or 4 times, and this one really, really grew on me. It's definitely been, you know, in my top favorite fragrances for many, many times when I've decided to rate things. I'm a little bit fickle with my fragrances, I will say that, and that's kind of why I have quite a few, because my taste may shift back and forth, and what's my favorite today may not be tomorrow, but this is still one that's great to have, and I am looking forward to the cooler weather to wear this more. Now, getting into the niche fragrances, one of the first ones I actually blind bought, I was on a split group in the US. I've moved to Canada. They still do some splits, not as many as they do in the US. So if you're in the US, you want to build your collection, but you don't want to spend a ton of money and you don't mind having a lot of partials, doing splits is a great way to do that. So you can save a lot of money. And somebody had split Unknown Pleasures. It's already full. And I decided that I want to split it too because it sounded really, really good. I'd not tried anything from the House of Kerosene. Tried that one out. He gave me a couple samples, so you've maybe heard me talk about Blackmail a lot. I did get a sample of Blackmail, and I decided I was going to buy it from that sample. So it was not actually a blind buy. But this one was. I split it, so I ended up getting 20 mil, and it didn't cost me very much. So it was a 20 mil partial. Getting pretty close to the end now. And I might actually rebuy this one because it is a fantastic gourmand. But really good. Bit of a lemon biscuit kind of opening that turns into a sugary waffle cone. Very nice. A little bit of uniqueness there too as far as gourmands. And like I said, the value with kerosene is always there. So I like that. Next is going to be a Roja. So there's a couple of Rojas I've actually bought, and both of them have been blind buys. And this was Fetish EDP. I decided to get this because the EDP line was being discontinued, and I wanted to get one just because I wanted to have one. And Fetish seemed like the one that would be most interesting to me. And this one is spicy, it's opulent, it's luxurious. It's great for the upcoming month. I'm definitely going to be reviewing this sometime soon. It has a little bit of everything luxurious in it, so it is a very robust fragrance, lasts a long time, projects like an absolute beast. And this is one, I think the only real downfall to this one is, to me, not as much casual wear. This would be something I would wear most of the time to a fancier occasion or something like that. So it's one that I don't end up reaching for a lot, but it is a quality fragrance and it just smells like money. So it's nice to have something like that, and I do enjoy it. Next on the list is another Roja, and this is one that I actually did end up splitting quite a bit of. So again, it allowed me to get it into my collection without spending too much money. And I'd heard a lot about the Parfum version of this, and the Parfum Cologne version had just come out, and I decided to try this one, and it's Creatione or Enigma. And this is a really, really great tobacco fragrance. It's a little bit boozy in the opening, a little bit sweet. It has a little bit of a cola fizziness in it that I also really, really enjoy. And so I do like this one a lot. Good masculine tobacco fragrance, one that's easy to wear. Most times, honestly, this is a fall, winter, very versatile fragrance for those times. And I think it's one that definitely stands out a little bit. It definitely is one that is going to be different. And so it's really, really good. And I usually recommend this as potentially a signature scent or something if you really like more masculine tobacco fragrances. Really, really good one. Do enjoy this one as well. If you haven't tried out the Parfum Cologne line, this one and Elysium are probably my favorite. I really love the smell of Scandal on paper, but it doesn't work as well on my skin. But if you get that sort of spicy cardamom and the tart rhubarb on your skin, then you're very lucky, because those are two of the things that really set it out, and it doesn't really pop on my skin. Now, I've also made a few Nishane purchases, and everyone has been a blind buy of all the bottles. Now, all three of them I like, but only 2 of them made this list. First one, Sultan Vetiver. I think definitely in contention for the best vetiver fragrance of all time. It's really just so well done. It does have, some of that marshy quality that this one has. So there are aspects of this fragrance that remind me of this one. But this one does facet or show off a lot more of the facets of vetiver. It has a little bit more depth to it. It has a little bit higher quality. But it is ultimately a very, very good vetiver fragrance. And if you like fragrances that are dominated by vetiver, not just fragrances that have vetiver in them, like I mean, Elysium has vetiver in it, for example, but it's not a vetiver forward fragrance. Certainly not in the way that this one is. So if you want that sort of classy gentleman, classic kind of a vibe, Sultan Vetiver is a good choice. Now the other one from Nishane, and the first one from the house that I bought that I was very, very happy with, was Fan Your Flames. This one I also ran a split on, and so I didn't end up spending too much money, but it is one of these really fantastic boozy tobacco fragrances. There's coconut in it, which I find interesting. I don't get the coconut so much as I get a little bit of sweetness. And there's something in this fragrance that gives it almost like the tobacco is actually burning. So it's not smoky per se, but it's almost like you can pick up the actual burning tobacco. Not a smokiness, but the actual embers and the flames a little bit. So this is one that is absolutely nuclear as well. So maybe a good thing I split it, because for me, two sprays of this fragrance, and I will get probably 6 feet radius of projection. So very good and very long lasting. Last but not least, one that was recommended by a viewer, and I should be thankful for that. So they did send me a sample, but before the sample actually got there, I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and blind buy it. And happy I did. Again, another one I ran a split on, so I managed to get a partial for a very good price, and that is Naxos. So, you know what, this one is really the most high quality version of Pure Havane, if you want to call it, you know, that. And it just is so beautifully well done. The performance is there, the projection is there. It's very sensual, very, a little bit seductive, but also very classy. And the quality makes it something that's a little bit luxurious smelling too. So it's very beautiful honey and tobacco that just makes it a pleasure to wear. And really, I've heard this one advertised as unisex, and honestly, I think it really is more of a unisex fragrance. It doesn't come off to me as being particularly in either direction, and I think because of that sweetness, because of that honey, it is something that could easily be worn by men or women, but it's a beautiful, classy, luxurious fragrance. And of course, I love these frosted glass bottles. I love this sort of round presentation that Xerjoff has. This is one of my favorite bottles that I own. And so anyways, I was happy to get this one into my collection. Those are my best, absolute best blind buys. I've had a few blunders. I might make a video on the ones that I blind bought and did not like at all. Fortunately, not too many of them were very expensive, but I've certainly gotten burned a little bit with blind buys before. Anyways, guys, that's it for this one. I'm going to cut the video there. Have you guys made any blind buys? Have you made any successful blind buys? What is the most successful blind buy you've ever had? Leave a comment down below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.